How you guys doing?
Join us. We're going to go on the radio now.
Now, Behind the Law with Justin Clark and Allie Mack on ESPN 580 Orlando.
And welcome to the program. It's another edition of Behind the Law right here on ESPN 580 Orlando. Attorney Justin Clark with you as we are every single weeknight at 8 o'clock p.m. on our favorite sports radio station. You can also watch the TV shows this weekend and every weekend at 12:30 p.m. CBS on Saturday afternoon as you have Real Estate with me, Attorney Justin Clark. And then it's this show, Behind the Law, at 10 a.m. Sunday mornings on TV 27. Also follow at Behind the Law Radio on Facebook, Instagram, any social media platform. You can watch this show right there as well. To my right, my good friend, Brianna. How are you? New Brianna.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. Where is OG Brianna today?
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
So we're doing the show just us again. I mean, we know she was kind of going to cut out. That's why you're here to take over the producer duty. So maybe this is what's really going on here.
Possibly.
You think so?
I guess so.
Because she didn't mention. I think
she
I
didn't
saw
mention
her
anything
today.
to me. No.
So I am back now I've been practicing law for 15 years now. I have never, ever taken hardly even a week vacation. I am now coming off an 11-day vacation. We're back here with you live on a Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
Because I'm confused.
That's great.
I
Sure
mean,
is
I really
Wednesday.
don't know, dude. Very special show for you today. We're going to do the news. We'll also play Stump the Clarkie in the second half hour. And throughout the show, an excellent interview with Ray Lopez of the Ray Lopez team at Keller Williams Realty. It's summertime, guys. You know, summertime, you always hear the best time to buy or best time to sell. Let's really answer that question with Ray Lopez here in just a couple of moments. So what did I miss, Brianna? I mean, anything going on around here? So I drove from here, from Central Florida, all the way to my family's lake place up near Knoxville, Tennessee. 10, 11, maybe 12 hours.
Oh,
with
wow.
my 1-year-old.
Oh,
okay?
wow.
Lucky you.
Who is, I mean, she loves me.
How was
Ray.
that experience?
She loves me, but this kid in the car, just terrible. I mean, just terrible. We have a 6-year-old, Sophia, as well, who's been perfect in everything she's ever done. Never, hardly ever cried once. You could ride to California with her. My 1-year-old Mila, oh my goodness. And I don't know what was more scary. It's Mila crying, yeah, okay. You're like, oh crap, I'm scared to drive 10 hours. But then it's Pilar getting upset, wanting to pull her hair out, dealing with 1-year-old. So we drove to Tennessee 12 hours. Then after several days there, we drive to Destin 8 hours. Well, this is all with the 1-year-old. Then last night we leave about, 6, 7 o'clock p.m. from Destin, arrive here maybe 3 a.m., another 8 hours in the car with the 1-year-old.
Ooh,
and this is a
wow.
1-year-old. You can't just put a phone in front of her face or turn on a movie. She's totally disinterested. She wants constant attention. It was quite a hike, but a lot of fun. Ray Lopez, you are from the Panhandle, first of all.
Yep, Pensacola, Florida.
And you forget how nice the beaches are.
Beautiful.
It's just such a beautiful part of the world. My goodness.
Yep, the Emerald Coast.
Yeah. On the way back from Destin, though, you could still see the hurricane damage everywhere. I mean, they got
Trees
just
and-
ravaged up there.
It's amazing.
It was insane. All right, it's time to do a little bit of news. You ready, Brianna?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
All right, so what is going on? Local news. It was revealed that Seminole County is so dry, burning has been banned county-wide. So for a week, Seminole County residents cannot burn yard debris, have bonfires, or campfires.
I mean, no offense to those of you who are looking to go burn something tonight, but it's understandable, right, Ray?
Absolutely.
I don't think you're infringing on my constitutional rights to not start forest fires. I mean, this is a good rule, Seminole County, and if you have a problem with it, come on, guys. See, it's been dry here. I think it's okay.
There are 24 active fires in Central Florida.
Yeah,
That's
don't
what I heard.
burn anything.
And I
right
smelt the burnt air yesterday when I was out. I was like, what is that smell? I'm like, oh my God, there's a brush fire somewhere. Yep. All right, in other news, so CVS announced that they will open 1,500 Health Hub stores by the year 2021. So a Health Hub is basically a clinic where you can receive blood testing, get health screenings, as well as receive feedback if you're suffering from a chronic illness. So, for example, if someone doesn't have health insurance, they can go to the clinic and save on medical costs and
Yeah.
get treatment as well.
Good.
So that's good for them.
Right. You know what I think about health insurance? Health insurance is one of the two greatest issues we have in this country right now.
That is right.
Families cannot afford the health insurance. It's out of control. Right, Ray? I mean, when I see how much I pay every month for health insurance, I am mortified. And then we go to the doctor. For Christ's sake, you go to the doctor and it's $200.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you haven't met your deductible. I'm like, how can I have a deductible of $6,000 when I'm paying you $1,600 a month?
That's right.
It's
Ridiculous.
ludicrous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And student loans are the second biggest issue we have.
Right? So Walmart, they're attempting to recruit high school students to work for them. So they're offering SAT as well as ACT prep
Wow,
and
that's
debt-free
great. Yeah.
college. Isn't
Free
that amazing?
college.
Yeah. So you can, if they're in a program, they can pay $1 a day to attend college.
Yeah,
That's
I like
amazing.
It. I like it.
I love that companies are pursuing higher education for their employees
I think
and
it's a great thing.
allowing for them to have a debt-free career.
And trust me, anything you can do to save from having student loans when you get out of school, you really need to look into
Right.
it. They're killing
amazing.
people out there. Anything else in the news today?
Sports news. So we have the Stanley Cup Finals. Are you a hockey fan?
I watch hockey in the playoffs when the Bruins are involved. That's about it.
Oh, so
That's
they
about
are
as-
involved
I know
tomorrow
they are.
night.
That's about as far as I go with hockey.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a New York Rangers game when I was younger, and I've never been to a hockey game since.
Yeah,
It was
I
fun.
mean,
It was a great
hockey's
experience.
really good live. Hockey doesn't translate on TV as well to me. It's hard to follow the puck.
Yeah, it's better live. Yep. Well, that's all for me.
Good deal, Brianna. Thank you. Welcome back to
Thank
me,
you.
Justin Clark. It is Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Joined to my left, his name is Ray Lopez. He is with Keller Williams, has his own big team. Now, Ray, when I first met you, you were crushing the real estate world here in Central Florida. But then you've migrated up to Gainesville as well. How did that happen?
Yeah, so with me, I've had a real estate team since 2003, and one of the reasons I came to Keller was they actually give you opportunity outside of just doing real estate. So there are leadership and ownership opportunities that are great within the companies, and I was able to purchase a franchise, the one in Gainesville.
Right.
So go Gators, and we've been open for about 2 years, and we've grown to about 118 agents in that 2 years.
A lot of people think being an agent's really easy. You know, you go out on a couple of appointments on Saturday and the rest of the week's a party, right? I mean, really, people
It's not.
think that sometimes that's what it's like being a real estate agent. But I also have people come to me all the time that feel like they want a little freedom in their life, and they always ask me, do you think I should become an agent? Should I go take my real estate test? When people come up to you and ask you that question, what do you say?
Well, what I tell people is, people just don't understand what a real estate agent does to be successful. If you do want to be a part-time agent, you will make part-time money. If you are a business type person, you understand what it takes. No matter what industry you get into, it takes discipline, it takes hard work, and it takes cash flow initially. And when I talk to somebody and they say, I'm just trying to save up to get into this, well, you have to know that it's just to start thousands of dollars just to get started. And then you have to know that there's a lot to learn and a lot of hours to work. So the part-time agent is almost impossible to be successful. So that's where we start.
What percentage? Do you ever see any percentages of agents that start out who actually end up making it in the business, so to speak?
2 of 10.
2 of 10.
Stay in long term.
20%.
Yeah.
Wow. It's unbelievable. I always hear about the 3 different levels of being an agent or whatever. There's an agent, there's a broker associate, and there's a broker. What are the differences in those 3?
Okay, so all 3 of them can practice real estate. The difference is when you go from being a realtor, after 2 years of having your license, you go and you take a class. It's a 72-hour class, and I would say, go see Andy at the Climber School.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you take a test and you become a broker. And if you want to open your own brokerage, you are the broker of that brokerage. If you don't own the brokerage and you go to work for somebody else, you are a broker associate. So the difference between a realtor and a broker or broker associate is you have now been deemed to be more knowledgeable. So you can't say, I don't know that anymore.
Yeah.
No, you're a broker. You should know better. So you can get into trouble a lot easier once you're a broker.
Exactly. I always say that the Central Florida market is the most saturated in America when it comes to personal injury attorneys, right? In the real estate world, agent-wise, is this a very saturated market, or is it still kind of finding its way?
It's very saturated. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of between 15 and 16,000 realtors, and it really just depends on who you talk to. But yeah, there's a lot of people still getting into real estate. Our market is one of the last hottest markets. When you hear the national real estate forecast, a lot of people are talking about how it's kind of flattened out, how it's kind of just kind of running its course to getting back to normal. We are still very much on the move, because you can still, our median price is only $235,000. And when you look at that and you talk to somebody from anywhere else, they say, I can actually buy a house for under $250 that is in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's just unusual. So a lot of people want to capture that, and they get into real estate and get their license.
We all know what happened in 2008. Some of us are still a little bit nervous about buying a house because of that terrible collapse that we had back then. Is there a chance of that happening again? We will answer that question with Ray Lopez right on the other side of this break. It is Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. All right.
How long do we have till the next station?
As much as you want.
Oh, no.
We can take a break. So it'll be just like a minute or two.
Cool.
Because we're pre-recording it. So we do 4 10-minute segments. So we got 3 more to go. Is there anything in particular you have going on you want me to hit on?
Not really.
Okay.
The hot subject's still open door and offer pad. I mean, it just is. I actually had an agent text me over today because I teach that around the state now. And they were just like, oh, the offer, they actually, it looks good. How do I fight that?
Right.
And it's like, well, did they disclose like all their fees?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get that part of it. And I'm like, well, how can you fight that to list it unless you know what they're going to be paying
Exactly. All right, you ready?
Now back to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, right here on ESPN 580 Orlando.
Welcome back to the show. It is Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Justin Clark here with you as we are every weeknight, 8 o'clock p.m. I'm here live again after a 11-day holiday, I would say. Brianna's here with me to my right. Hi, Brianna. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I have Ray Lopez joining me here to my left. He is with Keller Williams. He's with the Ray Lopez team at Keller Williams. Explain how that works, because some people see Keller Williams and they're like, oh, you work for Keller Williams, but then it'll say the Ray Lopez team with Keller Williams. How does that all work?
Well, when you start out, you typically start out as a single agent, and you wear a lot of hats. And there's 2 ways that you can actually go. You can be a single agent forever, and you kind of run clients around. You list properties. You go to appraisals. You go to home inspections. You have to look for business. You have to follow up. And then, the life of an agent, a lot of times, you want to have a life, because you could literally work 24 hours a day, Justin. I mean, it's amazing because there's enough business out there if you know how to work it. But for me, early on in my career, I realized that if I wanted to have a life, I needed to get rid of the things that I didn't like to do, like paperwork,
Yeah, there you go.
like making phone calls to people that I'm already under contract with. So,
Right.
I hired an assistant. And then as I started getting bigger and getting more business, I just brought on more agents, and they actually joined my team. And I can be at any brokerage as a team. And the reason I came to Keller Williams back in 2005 again was for opportunity and to learn the systems and models of the business.
I was talking about this on the TV show earlier today, actually, and I was talking to a pilot friend of mine who said, Justin, you don't understand. As soon as I land that plane, I don't even think about work for the next 3 days until I go back to the airport. Like, just totally off of his mind. Once the plane touches ground, he's done. Is it like that in real estate? Because I know it's not in my business.
No. In real estate, what happens is, you have several different parts of the transaction in the beginning. You're helping people find homes, or you're listing the home. During the transaction, you're either taking them out whenever they want or whenever your schedule allows. You put them under contract. And, Justin, this is the thing. Once you go under contract, 11% of the deals fall apart due to mortgage, appraisals, lack of qualification. There's a lot of reasons why you want a professional guiding you through this. And then once it closes, you want to stay in contact with your clients because they've trusted you to help them find their biggest asset usually in their lives.
Yeah.
So, stay in touch with them.
Let's say I do want to become a realtor, a real estate agent. How hard is that test?
Well, I would say about 50% of the people fail it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's if you study and you go to the right school, it's not as hard as you would think it would be. But a lot of people do. One of the best agents that I know, I've been in real estate for 16 years. He failed it 4 times and almost didn't go forward. But
do you mean to mute you and you can tell me who it is, or pass me a note? How do you want to do this? Because I got to know now. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's talk about the market a little bit, because obviously you and I worked together during the epic collapse, really historically horrible collapse that we had in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, for several years there. No one's ever seen anything like that in our lifetime. I'm not sure, Ray, we'll see it again in our lifetimes, at least you and I. It was terrible. But, I mean, what do you see as the future of the real estate market here over the next 5 years?
Okay, so in Central Florida, they're talking about us kind of flattening out in 2020 or 2021. And the reason that we have a little bit more life in our market than a lot of other markets is because our epic crash in 2011, we hit the bottom. Orlando actually went to a median price of $95,000.
Wow.
Justin, $95,000.
I did not know that,
Yeah.
actually.
In 2007, we got all the way up to 265. We went to 95, and we're back to 235. So we're not even back to where we were 12 years ago.
Right. Was 2006 the real peak? Would you say?
2006, 2007 was the real peak.
Okay.
So it's kind of tough because 2006 we started seeing the inventory starting to go back up, and then so when we talk about inventory, supply and demand, right? Inventory in a normal market is between 10 and 11,000 homes. When we went in 2005, we got to a point where we had 3,900 homes on the market.
Jeez.
From 10,000 to 11,000. In 2007, at the end of the year, we got all the way up to 26,300 homes on the market. We couldn't sell a house to save our lives. Nobody wanted to buy.
Right. How are we now? Any idea?
Right now, we're at 7,700.
So that's a little bit lower than
Below, yeah. So it's a seller's market. And it's summer. When we look at transaction counts, you were asking, when's a good time to buy? When's a good time to sell? Right now, it's competitive. It's summer. People want to move. Their kids are out of school. They want to be in by the middle of August when school starts back. So our transaction count in January is around 2,000. In middle of summer, gets to around 3,700, almost double.
I have a question. What's the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market?
Well, okay. So per what you just asked, a seller's market means that the sellers have choice. So this is the way when I teach around the state, this is what I say. A lot of people buy cars throughout their lives, and not a lot of people buy houses. When you go on a car lot, let's just say that you want a red Toyota Camry, and you go on that car lot, and you're lucky enough to see 17 red Camrys when you get there.
Yeah.
Are you going to get a good deal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're going to
think
get
so.
Yeah.
So that is a buyer's market because you're the buyer.
Okay.
If you go on the car lot and you go, hey, where are the red Camrys? We don't have any. We would have to special order one for you. And,
okay.
There aren't 5 Toyota dealerships like there are in Central Florida.
Yeah, of course.
You would have to special order that, and then they would hang you for a higher price. That's the difference.
It's Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Justin Clark here talking to Ray Lopez of Keller Williams. All right, so the summertime market is traditionally fairly hot, right? And is that only because of the schools? I mean, what really makes summer the hot time of year to sell a house?
Well, people, this is when they think about moving. It just is. It's the way they've been trained to do. There was an article in our Realtor magazine that just came out. In Orlando, people move about every 6 years. Okay, that's just kind of the way it is. Nationally, it's 7 to 8 years. So we're the 4th largest, fastest people or largest city that people move in America because we're so transient.
Wow.
It's amazing. People move. It keeps me in business.
Yeah.
It keeps both of us in business,
Exactly.
which is great. But yeah, for whatever reason, there are several reasons. School's the biggest determining factor. And of course, who wants to move in the middle,
Sure.
holidays when it's cold?
Absolutely.
So,
all right, I'm going to use a couple of dirty words here,
All right.
and you tell me what you think. Because I know a lot of us have heard recently about Open Door, Offer Up. Is Offer Up one of them? Right?
OfferPad.
OfferPad.
Yep.
It's these platforms that come in and allegedly will just make you an instant offer on your house, and boom, everything is good. Down in the trenches, I mean, you're talking to people listing their house every single day. You must have met people who have talked to these Open Door platforms. What is really happening with them, and is this really a good way to sell your home?
Well, what I would say is I can't say it's not a good way because if you own the house outright and you say, look, I don't want to do anything to the house and I want to move, I don't want to be bothered, look at their offer. Why not? So, again, the way I look at it is, they're just another player in the game. The thing that I don't like is when you talk to people that actually have went through with it, or if you look at the Better Business Bureau, because that's kind of a big thing, you'll see that, they're in the business to flip the house, Justin. And if they flip the house, that equity has to come from somewhere.
It's coming from your pocket at
There
the
you
end of
go.
the day.
Yeah. So when I sit down with somebody and they say, okay, Ray, this is my offer. What's the catch? I actually got that question asked to me today. The catch is, the offer's a little lower than market, which you go, okay, that's fine. I don't have a realtor.
Right.
That'll make up the difference. The issue is they have fees. So if you're with Open Door, it's 6 to 13%.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's offer pad, it's around 7.5 to 8.5%. Okay. So the fees are there regardless. What the big kicker is when they do their inspection, they have 15 days to do their inspection. So that's usually the half, typically you close the house in 30 days.
Right.
So they do their inspection on the 15th day. That's traditional. And then they have 10 days to let you know what they're going to do.
Now
10
we're
days.
already at 25 days before they even have to decide.
And if they send you an email and says, I want to drop I want a credit of $18,000, you are pretty much packed up. It's tough to call me, Ray Lopez, the realtor, when your house is packed up.
No, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't think for a minute that if you have some issues with your house, that these Open Door type places aren't going to come do an inspection and find the same issues that a regular buyer is going to find. So if you think you're going to sneak it right through the system, that's really not how it works. I mean, it just
Correct.
isn't, right? I mean, how many times have you really seen someone who has come to you and has tried to go through the Open Door process and things have gone not well? And I'll tell you from my perspective,
Yep.
I've had at least, I'd say, 10 to 12 clients in my office who have had some kind of issues going through that process, which is why it's very hard for me to trust it.
Yep.
I mean, you must have seen it before.
Yeah, I've talked to people.
Yeah.
Same thing. We actually 2 weeks ago we closed a house, and it was actually one of the houses we had on the TV show,
Yep.
and they bought an Open Door house. So
Oh,
this
wow.
this was supposed to be nice and easy,
Yeah.
right? It took us 3 weeks after the initial closing date because Open Door couldn't pay the person that did the work on the house they were buying to get them to release the lien, the contractor lien. So it cost my people 3 more weeks of living somewhere else.
Right.
Because they bought an Open Door house.
Those extended stay suites are not that comfortable after a few nights.
Or convenient.
Yeah. More with Ray Lopez and the real estate market here in Central Florida and Stump the Clarkie just ahead on Behind the Law.
Yeah, it's you go to the business bureau, they rape them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's,
Absolutely. I've seen it all the time. Oh, right.
So ESPN 580, huh?
Yep. We switched to them the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
It used to be the WDB. You remember that we probably did shows together, and Robert and I were both on
Yeah.
News 96.5. What that was 580, and then they switched to 96.1, whatever. And then so 580 became ESPN. All right, you guys ready?
Let's do
We're
it.
gonna play a little trivia game now.
All right.
Now back to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, right here on ESPN 580 Orlando.
Welcome back to the show. It is Behind the Law with me, attorney Justin Clark, ESPN 580 Orlando. If you have any questions, 321-282-1055. Information is on our website as well, youhavepower.com. 2 TV shows for you this weekend and every weekend. Saturday, 12:30 on CBS, it is You Have Real Estate. And then Sunday, it is this show, Behind the Law. But it's Behind the Law on television at 10 a.m. on TV 27. Also, you can interact with us and watch the radio program every single day if you follow at Behind the Law Radio on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, really any social media platform. You can check us out right there. I have Brianna to my right. It's new Brianna. Hi, new Brianna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I mean, literally, I like just being able to say Brianna when the other Brianna, or OG Brianna, as I have to say, is not here.
I'm not
So,
sure if she's coming back. So.
You're just Brianna. I mean, I think she's coming back, but I mean, she'll at least make guest appearances, I would hope, on this program.
I hope so.
But it's
I don't
good
know.
to see you. I've had a few days off. We are back here with you live, so thanks for joining us. Ray Lopez is here. He's to my left. He is the owner of the Ray Lopez team at Keller Williams Realty down here and up in Gainesville. How do you find Gainesville, Ray? I don't spend a lot of time up there. I don't know. I don't know much about Gainesville.
Well, of course, Florida is there. University
UF.
of. Yep. They have a lot of medical,
Right.
really, really good hospitals.
Shands, I think, is
Yep,
there, right?
Shands. It's a little bit more rural. It's a little slower pace. People that are from Gainesville love Gainesville.
Yeah.
So, it's a small city. about 10th the size of Orlando.
Gotcha. All right, you ready to play a little game? Now, don't worry. Here's what this is called Stump the Clarky. They're going to ask us 4 questions. We're going to write down all 4 answers right here, and then we'll go back and score the game. But Brianna likes to see me lose.
I
So
do.
it's highly
Nice.
likely
It's my pleasure.
that she's going to come up with a category that you know more about than I do.
Uh-oh.
So you're probably going to win. But are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Love it.
All right, and now it's time for Stop the Clarky. Come on, Clarky. We need you to get over here. We got some great trivia questions we want you to answer. Come on, Clarky. Get over here.
All right, Brianna, I'm afraid to ask, but what is the category today?
The category is all about real estate.
Shocker. How could I have ever guessed? All right, go ahead.
All right, question number 1. How many active real estate licenses are there in the U.S.?
In the U.S.?
Yes,
Ay, ay,
in the U.S.
ay. I really don't know. Surely it can't be a million, right?
Possibly.
Okay. All right, question number 2.
How many people own their homes in the U.S.?
How many own their home in the U.S.? Jeez, these are tough questions today, Brianna.
Yeah.
Where are you getting these answers?
Listen, my answers
Google,
and my
baby.
questions
Yeah.
are from Google.
Okay. All right, question number 3 for Stump the Clarky Wednesday night. Go ahead.
How many people rent their homes in the U.S.? So question 2 is about owning, 3 is about renting.
I think I'm high on both of these. All right, one final question. Brianna, fire away.
How many houses were sold in 2018
Is this in the U.S. too?
in the U.S.?
Ray, I might embarrass myself today, buddy.
Oh, man.
I'm not sure.
This is tough, man.
I am not sure. All right, you ready to score this game, Brianna?
I'm ready.
It's Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Stump the Clarky. It's Justin Clark versus Ray Lopez today. All right, question number 1.
How many active real estate licenses are there in the U.S.?
Let's go to Ray Lopez, our very special guest today. Ray, what did you say?
I said 1.2 million.
1.2 million. I went a little bit lower with 700,000. Probably too low. Brianna, what is the right answer?
2 million.
2 million.
Goes to
Ray Lopez sneaks out ahead. 1-0. So 2 million. What are there, like 350 million people in the country?
Yeah.
That's a lot of real
Approximately,
estate
yeah.
A lot of
agents.
realtors.
I wonder how many lawyers there are. Probably a similar amount.
probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to find that out. Maybe we'll pull that up when we go back to the show, Brianna. Huh?
Okay.
How many lawyers? How many lawyers in the United States?
Well, you should
of
get that
America?
answer correct. You are a lawyer.
No, I don't know. I'd probably say 700,000.
That's great.
All right, 1-0. Ray Lopez pulls ahead. What is question 2?
How many people own their homes in the U.S.?
All right, I went with 80 million. It's too much.
80 million?
Well, because I'm thinking there are 350 million people, and then look. So does it count? Let's say
that would, you have to define if it's multiple houses or
Yeah.
if it's just primary residence.
it doesn't matter. I'm wrong. You're going to be right. What did you say, Ray?
I said 100,000.
100,000.
I went low.
Okay. What is the right answer?
You were right, Justin. 75 million.
Oh,
you were
wow.
close.
So you had me
you.
scared there. All right. So 1-1 going into question 3. So 75. See, I think what they're doing here is saying that if there are
Total.
3 people in the house, that counts as 3, maybe.
okay.
You know? I don't know. Who knows?
Makes more sense, I guess.
All right. Question number 3.
How many people rent their homes in the U.S.?
Ray Lopez, what did you say?
I went ahead and said 80 million.
80
'Cause
million?
There's a bunch of renters.
I, too, went with 80 million. What is the right answer?
44 million.
44
half.
million. Wow. So we split that point. Yeah.
Right.
So half. That's surprising
Wow.
to me. And look, the rental market in Orlando is absolutely out of control. I mean, it is always cheaper to buy the exact same house as it is to rent it.
Yeah.
You know, with the market, the mortgage rates low, it's always going to be cheaper to buy than rent if you can qualify. All right, we're tied up 2-2 heading into the final question. Question number 4. Wednesday night edition. Stump the Clarkie. I'm nervous, Ray.
Yeah, me too.
I'm nervous. All right.
both should be nervous.
What was question number 4?
How many houses were sold in 2018 in the U.S.?
All right. I went, Ray, with 5 million.
I went 5.5.
5.5 million. Oh, man, it's going to be a nail biter, but we're not going to tie. What is the right answer, Brianna?
5.3
Whoa,
million.
Ray Lopez wins the game today. Good job. Thanks for playing. So that was close. 5.3, so you barely beat. Oh,
Barely.
my gosh.
50,000.
I'm happy to see you win, though. So that's a lot of transactions, I guess.
It is.
But
Yep.
then if you compare it to how many real estate agents there are, that's an average of 2 transactions a year per realtor. You can't make a living that way. That's
Correct.
why, I mean, it's tough. I mean, don't think that you're going to become a real estate agent and just go out there and start, doing 50 deals a year. It's not going to happen right away for you. All right, thanks for playing, Ray Lopez.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, thank you so much for being with us. Clarky, let's get out of here, buddy. My stomach thinks my throat's cut. I'm starving.
I love it.
Thank you, Fulton Allen, for that. It's Justin Clark here on Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Brianna's here, and Ray Lopez, the owner of the Ray Lopez team at Keller Williams Realty. All right, Keller Williams. I think it's a well-known brokerage now. What really that they really only came on the scene maybe a decade ago, or that's when I really started hearing a lot about them. What do you think separates Keller Williams from some of the other agencies out there?
Well, there's a lot of great agencies out there, but for Keller, what really drives us is 2 things. Our training. So Keller Williams is actually, for the last 3 years, it's actually been awarded by Training Magazine the #1 training company of any company in the nation.
Wow.
So if you want to learn about real estate and know how to do it, come to Keller Williams. The other thing, about 3.5 years ago, our owner started out by spending $40 million to get us into the new technology age, to compete with Open Door, OfferPad, and technology's our thing now. It's our cornerstone of where we're headed. So,
talk to me a little bit, Ray, about buying a house. Let's say I'm out there looking to really buy my first home, and I finally signed the contract. We're having a little party at my house because we're so excited about buying a house. What are some of the most important things I need to do as the buyer between the time I sign that contract and go to closing?
Okay. So first and foremost, make sure that you talk to your loan officer, because that's very, very important, because your credit score can't change a lot. Don't go out and buy a boat, buy a car, buy a bunch of furniture for your new house. You're gonna have a couple hurdles that we need to look at, and a good realtor will hold your hand for this. You're gonna have a home inspection done. And with that home inspection, that home inspector's job is to work for you as the buyer and make sure that the house is in the condition it needs to be in. And if it's not, they'll point that out. And your realtor will help you with that. And then you counter back to the seller side and say, this is what I want done.
Should I purchase a house as is? Let's say that you go in and you make an offer on the house and the seller's saying, well, I'm only going to let you buy it if you buy it as is. What does that mean, and should you do it?
Okay.
One more segment ahead of Behind the Law.
Perfect.
ESPN 580 Orlando. It's a tease.
No, absolutely. That's great. Cliffhanger, right?
Because, honestly, the as-is thing, does it really even matter? Because you're still going to get an inspection, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like,
so think about this. Before the Epic collapse, there were no as-is contracts.
Right.
I didn't even know what an as-is contract was.
Yeah.
As-is was the people that were trying to hide stuff.
right,
When they said you have to buy this as-is because it was a dump.
right.
Now it's like, because of the Epic crash, everybody wants it on an as-is contract because it's nice and easy.
Right.
So,
All right, one more segment. You ready?
Yep.
Now back to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, right here on ESPN 580 Orlando.
One final segment ahead of Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Justin Clark here with you as we are every single weeknight at 8 o'clock p.m. We follow live, local, loud, Nicky football. Great job tonight, guys. Ray Lopez joins me tonight. He's a real estate agent here in town, and a damn good one at that. Ray, let me ask you about as-is contracts, because I mean, the as-is contracts that I've seen, the buyer still gets to do some type of inspection. I mean, it's not like they're saying they have to take the house, but what is all this about an as-is contract versus a regular contract?
Yep. So an as-is contract, what it does is it makes the offer very, very clean. Okay. The benefits to the buyer are you're doing an as-is contract with the right to inspect. So you're right. So you're still going to have that inspection, and after you have the inspection, you don't have to take it the way it is. You actually buy the property. You make the offer. You do the inspection, and if there are things that you can't get past, you ask for those things to be done or a credit, and that's very, very common. The good thing about the as-is contract is during your due diligence inspection time frame, if for any reason during that time, so Justin, let's just say that we have a 10-day due diligence home inspection time frame. If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed on day 5 and you go, you know what, Grandma's not going to lend me this money, I can't buy it anymore, then you can actually cancel the contract due to that time frame. It's called a looky-loo period.
Yeah. I mean, so really at the end of the day, as is doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking like all this risk as the buyer and you can't get out of it. It's really not that big of a deal.
Not really.
We talked a little bit earlier, Ray, about renting versus buying. And I do think there's still a segment of our population who went through this terrible time with us in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, and they're really scared to get back in the market. And then they've also heard over the last few years, well, there's just no way I'm going to qualify for a mortgage because I had a foreclosure 7 years ago, or I did bankruptcy 5 years ago. And I do think that there are some of us that are afraid to buy a house again. Now, look, it's not 2006. It doesn't just take a pulse and a pen to get a mortgage. But the lending has eased up, has it not?
It has since, when everything collapsed in 2008, 9, and 10, like you had said earlier, it was really, really, really hard to get a loan back then because, all the regulations that went into effect were very, very strict. So since then, you're right, everything's loosened up, but not to the point where they're going to give you a loan if you truly can't qualify. So yes, even though the lending restrictions since 2000, let's just say 10, have loosened up a little bit, it's nothing like it was. So if you really want to see what was going on, go watch that movie, The Big Short.
Oh, yeah.
And that is truly what was going on in the market.
And we don't want it to be like it was in 2006. That is really what caused a lot of this is we had people making $8 an hour buying $800,000 homes because everyone was just flipping. And all it took was a pulse and a pen. Yeah. You could get $800,000, no down payment. Not only could you do no down payment, they would give you a loan where you didn't even have to pay the full interest amount every month. They would just keep capitalizing the interest. So you could buy a $500,000 house and pay like $500 a month because they would keep capitalizing the interest you wouldn't pay. We don't want to go back to that. If we want to be sure to have another collapse, let's go back to just giving $1 million away to people who can't afford it. Right?
Exactly.
So you don't want that to happen again. We don't want that to happen again. We want people to lend money. I mean, lending money is what makes the world go round in a lot of ways, but certainly not go back to how it was in 2006.
So is it better to buy a foreclosed home or a short sale home?
Well, the difference is the foreclosed home is actually owned by the bank, so it got foreclosed on. So there's actually somebody that can make a decision immediately on that property. So, as far as what's better, it really depends on the condition of the home. The issue with the short sale property is you have a third party making a decision. So it's going to take quite a while to get that to go through the process. Oh, okay. And a lot of times, a lot of buyers don't have that time to wait.
Okay, sounds good.
Whenever, I think generally speaking, we think in terms of from contract to closing 30 days or so, maybe a little bit longer. But what are some of the biggest hiccups that you see from the time we sign the contract to the time we're supposed to be at closing that will make a property not make it to closing?
A lot of times it's that mortgage piece. You want to make sure that as a realtor, I've aligned myself with some great mortgage partners. And it's not so much that anything outside of them doing their front end work to make sure that the person that they're working with me, with us, can actually buy the house. Because that's the biggest frustration is this person's excited. They're giving notice maybe to that rental that you were talking about, and they're moving. And halfway through, they get a note from that lender saying, you know what, we messed up. You can't buy a house. That's disheartening. That's the biggest thing.
I mean, if you have a buddy who works in the mortgage business or whatever, and they don't ask you hardly any questions, and they'd say, hey, here's a pre-approval letter, now go house shopping. Let me tell you something. I mean, you're setting yourself up for incredible frustration. Not only is your wife going to be mad at you, right? I mean,
right.
you're going to get her all excited about buying the house, then you realize you can't. You could lose your deposit, your down payment. You could get sued. You need to really make sure, I think before you ever go out on that house hunt, that you're definitely going to qualify. I mean, maybe that requires you sending it to your buddy who's the mortgage guy, who at least let him run your credit and send him some bank statements or something to make sure you're really going to qualify. Because you're right, that can set up a lot of challenges in your life if you're not sure that you can actually buy the home.
So, Justin, a true-to-life story. About 3 weeks ago, I had a client that chose to go with a national lender that's always on TV.
Yeah.
And that national lender said that they could buy and sell a house. They didn't have to sell their house to buy. So we weren't going to put their house on the market initially. And we got 5 days before closing, and that national lender called and left a voicemail saying, we actually, there was a hiccup, and you cannot buy without selling.
So what do you do?
Well, at that point, I had to have a conversation with the other realtor, and we had to extend the contract. We had to make additional concessions. My buyer had to make additional concessions because that lender messed up on the front end. That national lender that's always on TV.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It's Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Justin Clark here with Brianna, and I have Ray Lopez here to my left. How does that work? Because that's something that we see a lot, whether it's a family trying to upgrade their house, trying to buy a bigger house, or maybe someone who's just had their kids graduate and they want to downsize. But this happens a lot where you own a house and you're trying to buy another house. How do you time it right?
It's tough, So over the last few years with all the distress stuff, we didn't have to worry about that. But now people have equity in their houses. Now they're actually thinking, you know what? I can actually buy that bigger house. You're right. I can actually, like my wife and I, our next deal is we'll have our house paid off. We will be going to a smaller house. That's our next step. So it won't be as big a thing for us. But yeah, it's tough to, you have to plan. So typically what happens, most people can't afford to own 2 houses. So in the morning, they will sell their house, and that afternoon, they'll buy the house. But there are all kinds of things that can go wrong because remember, somebody's buying their house, and then the house that they're buying, those people are typically buying another house.
Yeah, it's a lot of houses that need to be sold.
Transaction
for
train.
it to all work out perfectly. Talk to me a little bit about relationships, because I can't think of a tighter relationship, in the business sense anyway, between someone who's buying the biggest investment of their life or selling the biggest investment of life and the person they've trusted to be their agent. You go to Publix and you have a nice person checking you out in the line. That's nice. You have pleasantries. But when you go on this ride with someone who's again investing in the biggest probably thing they're ever going to invest in their life, how is that relationship?
Well, the relationship, you actually, especially when they're buying, because you're with them a lot. Hopefully not too long, but when you do a good job and you help them find that house, there's a lot of joy there.
Right.
So what happens is, all these hiccups that we talk about, when that happens, the first person that they want to blame is the realtor.
Sure.
Because you're with them the whole time. You're their best friend for that 30, 60 days while they're looking for this house.
Sure.
So, this is what I don't understand. So you have this great relationship with somebody. But when I go teach what we call a database management class, and I ask realtors, tell me the truth, how many people stay in touch with their past clients on a consistent basis? Most people do not raise their hand.
That's
so
terrible.
The national numbers are, Justin, is 88% of past people that have bought would love to use their realtor again. The true number of the people that truly do is 17%.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
That's surprising. I mean, that's really bad CRM management is what it is
Correct.
for agents.
That's
I mean,
right.
That's the most important data you could ever get, and it's free
Absolutely.
to you. I mean, even if you don't have a system, write it down somewhere or something.
Somewhere.
Yeah, wow, that's a little surprising to me. I mean, that's got to be one of the things that you must coach these, especially younger agents.
I try, yep.
You never want to let one deal go through without saving all of that.
Exactly.
At least email, address, phone number, something.
Stay in touch with them, call them for their birthday,
Yeah.
swing by and say hi.
Unbelievable. Let's say that I'm looking to buy a house or sell my home right now. How do I reach Ray Lopez and your team over at Keller Williams?
Well, you can go on the web if you want to check us out, the Ray Lopez team at, .com. And then, of course, 407-697-8298 is my personal cell. You can reach me anytime.
I think you should be getting a bigger house, seeing what you're doing out there, buddy. You're crushing it, and I'm really proud of you.
Well,
I'm
thank
proud
you.
to know you. Ray Lopez, excellent real estate agent here in Orlando or in Gainesville as well. Please reach out to him if you are interested in buying or selling your home. Good to see you, my friend.
Well, it's been great.
I
Thank
hope
you.
your health. I know you've been through some issues, man. If
Hey,
you
that's
ever need
okay.
us, we're always here for you.
Absolutely.
You look good, though.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Ray Lopez, Brianna. I don't know much, but I do know one little teeny tiny thing.
What's that?
I'm going to see you right back here tomorrow night for another edition of Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando.
That's awesome.
All right.
But this was great.